Good evening and welcome to the council meeting of April 27th, 2026. This meeting is being live streamed on the town's YouTube channel and also being held in chambers. I acknowledge that we are on Mi'kma'ki ancestral land of the Mi'kmaq and honor all who care for it, including African Nova Scotian communities. This evening, the CAO looks a little different tonight. We're joined by Director Bell, who's sitting in the seat of the CAO, who's on a much-needed mini break. I also want to begin tonight's meeting with two important proclamations recognizing health awareness initiatives in our community. First, I'm pleased to proclaim that for the week of May 4th to May 10th, it'll be recognized as Mental Health Week in the town of Kentville. This is an opportunity to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and encourage open conversations about mental health and well-being for all of our residents. Secondly, I'd like to proclaim the month of May as Lyme Disease Awareness Month in the town of Kentville. This designation helps bring attention to prevention, early detection, and education around Lyme disease, which continues to impact individuals and families across our region. On behalf of council, I encourage all residents to take part in these awareness efforts and to support one another in building a healthier and more informed community. Also want to acknowledge Councillor Savage's father, Mr. Wynot, who turned 95. Very smart man. And we'll acknowledge that. So I'll call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. We do have quorum this evening, full attendance of council. Are there any conflict of interest issues that should be declared before? Councillor Baker.
Yes, item 4D.
Okay.
Lions Club, please.
Okay. Lions Club. And you know the drill. When that comes up to the agenda, you can sit in the audience and then come back when it's done. We have an agenda presented. I do have two additions. We're going to move item 6, adjournment, is going to become number 7. And 6A and 6B are both going to be in a closed session. The first matter is land acquisition of municipal property. And the second one is B6B, which is labor relations. So 6A and B, and they will be in closed session. Any other additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, moved by Councillor Savage and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Kroll. All those in favor signify by raising an aye, saying aye. Those opposed, motion is carried. We have two sets of minutes in front of us. The first set is for March 23rd council meeting. Are there any changes to this set of minutes? There being none, we will file those as presented. We have a set from the April 13th, 2026 special council meeting. Are there any changes to this set of minutes? Okay, we will file those as well. We'll do that right now. Oh, okay. Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you. It's not this set of minutes, but maybe I want to get this out before I forget it. Under the planning committee minutes, there's an error where it was Carol Goodwin who nominated John Andrew for the chair, not myself. So
wouldn't those be done at the planning committee? You'd approve those?
Probably, but I might forget about those. So I want to make sure that
Director Shoup's got his pen there, so you can, you'll raise that at the PAC whenever the next meeting is.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So we're going to move on now to our recommendations. The first one is regarding bylaw 206, text amendments to the heritage bylaw. The recommendation is that council give first reading to bylaw 206 regarding heritage property. Moved by Councillor Savage and Councillor Maxwell as a seconder. Any discussion on this? Councillor, do you have your light on or no?
No.
I didn't shut yours off yet. Okay. All right, no discussion, I guess. We will call for the vote. Voting is now open. Almost. Oh. There we go. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Thank you. The next item is regarding bylaw 205, building bylaw text amendment. And the recommendation is that council give first reading to bylaw 205, building. Moved by Councillor Savage, Councillor Andrew as a seconder. Any discussion on this? Don't see any lights on, so we'll call for the question. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. The next item is reserve transfer requests, withdrawal from town capital reserve. The recommendation is the council approve the recommendation to withdraw $30,278 from the town of Kentville capital reserve to fund capital acquisitions for the year 25-26. Should be 26-27. This withdrawal will have minimal impact on the ending reserve balance, as there are sufficient savings available to offset the cost. I don't think we need that. I think it's 26, okay. Let me go back again. The council approved the recommendation to withdraw $30,278 from the town of Kentville capital reserve to fund capital acquisitions for the year 25-26, period. All right, Deputy Mayor Kroll and Councillor Maxwell as a seconder. Any discussion on this? There being none, voting is now open. And motion is carried. All right. The next item is Lions Club lease. Councillor Baker declared a conflict, and he has stepped down for a minute. The recommendation is the council enter into the proposed 5-year lease agreement with Lions Club of Kentville for PID 554-98521 at 78 River Street, Kentville. Moved by Councillor Savage. Councillor Hamilton as a seconder. Any discussion on this? None? All right, we will open the vote. Voting is now open. And voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. Thank you. Welcome Councillor Baker back up. The next item is Business Advisory Committee Terms of Reference. And the recommendation is the council approve the draft terms of reference for Kentville Business Advisory Committee. Deputy Mayor Kroll and Councillor Baker as a seconder. Any discussion on this? Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question around those folks who wish to apply for this committee. They will presumably review these terms of reference, and that will be a piece that the nominating committee, and it is the nominating committee, right? That
Correct.
Does, yep, okay, great, thank
Correct. Yep. Any other discussion? Voting, I guess we're going to open the vote then. Voting is open. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. The next recommendation is from the nominating committee, and it is that council approve the appointment of Ashley Hancock to the Planning Advisory Committee effective April 27th, 2026 to December 31st, 2027. Deputy Mayor Kroll and Councillor Savage as a seconder. Any discussion on this? No discussion. We will open the vote. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Our next item is request for waiver of municipal fees. The recommendation is the council waive all of Town of Kentville building and development fees associated with the development and construction of 30 affordable housing units on Justice Way, Kentville, identified as PID 552-56317. Councillor Savage. Second. Councillor Maxwell as a seconder. Any discussion on this recommendation? No discussion. We will open the vote. And voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Our next item is spring debenture approval. The recommendation is that council approve the attached resolution for $3,080,400 debenture pre-approval to submit to the Nova Scotia Finance and Treasury Board for spring 2026. Councillor Andrew and Deputy Mayor Kroll as a seconder. Any discussion on this recommendation? No discussion, we will open the vote. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. Thank you. We now move on to Planning Advisory Committee recommendation. The recommendation is that council give first reading to an amendment to the Town of Kentville Land Use Bylaw to amend section 5.1.3C to permit private instruction or tutoring in the arts, sciences, or technologies, including classes up to 8 individuals at one time, and to amend 4.2.2A by adding where a home-based business involves instruction or client attendance, the development officer may require additional off-street parking where warranted. Councillor Savage, and a seconder. Councillor Andrew? You did? Okay. You're so quiet. All right, I'll open the floor. It's been moved and seconded. I will open the floor if there's any discussion on this. No discussion, so we will open the vote. And voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. We have a second recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee regarding amendments to municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw regarding concurrent construction. The recommendation is that council give first reading to amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw to permit the issuance of development permits for non-occupied dwellings prior to final subdivision approval, subject to appropriate controls respecting service, infrastructure, and occupancy. Someone could move that. Councillor Maxwell, and a seconder. Councillor Andrew. Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. I know this is one, and I'm sort of looking at the director here. I know this is one that had gone back, I believe, to our solicitor for review and amendments to be made. Yes?
That's correct.
Okay. So just based on this, and I'm for this and for it moving forward, but I guess what are the real risks here? Or are there still risks? Namely the financial one. That's sort of the one I wasn't.
Financial risk to the town in particular?
Yeah.
We took the approach that the primary risk would be with the builder, with the developer, and their financial backer. So it'd be on that end versus on the town end.
Okay.
If there are issues with incomplete structures, we can address those from the town with dangerous and unsightly.
Okay.
And if there's any issues, if there's infrastructure that's partially completed, we would be looking after that with different forms of securities.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other discussion on this? Okay. No further discussion. We will open the vote. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. We have another recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee, regarding heritage registration process for 6 properties. So the recommendation is that council requests staff to process the previously considered heritage properties following adoption of the heritage property bylaw to ensure full compliance with statutory notice and appeal requirements. Someone could move that. Councillor Savage and Councillor Maxwell is a seconder. Any discussion on this recommendation? Okay, we'll open the vote then. Voting is now closed, and the motion is carried. The last recommendation from Planning Advisory Committee is the endorsement of process for reviewing amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw regarding program-based housing and emergency shelters. And the recommendation is that council endorse the revised policy direction outlined herein regarding program-based housing and emergency shelters and direct staff to prepare revised amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw. undertake a public participation meeting, and return the amendments to the Planning Advisory Committee prior to consideration by council for first reading. Moved by Councillor Baker and a seconder, Councillor Andrew. Any discussion on this recommendation? Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you. I have a couple of points here that I'd like to discuss. For the director, first of all, with the program-based housing, it allows up to eight units without coming to you, but anything higher than 8 units goes through development agreement. Is that correct?
That's correct. Up to 8 is through site plan approval.
Okay.
Potentially.
And the as of right means that they can, as long as there's 8 units or less, they can do that in the R3 zone.
That's correct.
All right, so on the map for R3, if you look, there's a few little very tiny spots that are R3. Those are, I think, individual properties, and they sit within, like, on a street. So one PID on that street would be R3, and on the other side could be R2 or whatever. There's a few of those in town, right? Okay, so I just wanted a clarification on that, because I have a strong objection to putting program-based housing in residential areas. And I feel like it's almost discriminatory against people living in the R3 zone to have what could be like, I don't know, like a mini shelter if it's over 8 units. Because in R3 zoning, there's a lot of apartments or duplexes and things like that. And the people that are using those are young families with children. And, I foresee problems with having something like that in a residential area with young children. And so, I have a serious objection to that. If it's program-based housing, then, and it's not an issue, then why can't that program-based housing be in any residential area? Why do we have to designate it to a certain residential area? Because if there's no issue, if my concerns are not legitimate concerns, then why not just open program-based housing up to any residential unit, or any residential zoning? Those are my objections. I have serious issues with those. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some similar concerns that Councillor Maxwell has. So to vote on this tonight would be voting for it to go forward and have a public participation meeting and get a real sense and learn from what residents feel about it. So just want to make that comment.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew.
I'm kind of getting ahead of, there's a broader issue here, and I don't want to get ahead of people. I assume there's going to be a coordinated voice around some of this, as there's some public concern around the remedy. And there should always, whenever there's a token name given to a government approach to things, it's always a little concerning. But that being said, and I've had a number of conversations with families whose loved ones have been in institutions, and I understand the justice side of pushing people out into the community. I expect we're going to see a rethink that will address some of the concerns that some people have. I think it's going to be really hard for this provincial government to ignore what people are seeing and saying about people. Obviously, there's a portion, I have no idea, I'm not an expert, I can't tell you what portion of people who live in institutions could be housed within the community, but there's some, and this is from staff and families associated with even our local facility, would say there's many people from their perspective that could not or should not be in those kind of environments. So I think some of this is going to get kind of filtered out through the community as pressure comes on the government. Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that I'm not against program-based housing at all. I think there's legitimate times when program-based housing would operate very nicely in residential areas. So people with disabilities and things like that that are under care and are living in any community, in any residential zone, I think those are perfectly fine. I just think that there are some concerns with some other types of program-based housing, and having those in residential areas, and I'm concerned with children in those areas. And I'm just thinking, if it's legitimate program-based housing and there's no concerns, then put it in any residential area. If there are concerns, then let's not cloud it over and say, yeah, okay, not in R1, not in R2, but we'll go with R3, because R3s are apartments with young children. That's my concern.
Thank you. I don't see any more lights on. I'm just going to chime in and just, I know you're all aware of this, but supportive housing can mean many different things, right? So my mother, for example, has dementia, so that could be somebody who's suffering from dementia and has support in a home. So we have to kind of look at the broader picture. We can't just label it as one type of person. And we have to hope that, and I do have hope now, I'm going to kind of echo on what Councillor Andrews said, that the province is maybe going to look now at this as an issue that they kind of have to find a way through, because, and I've just on the news the other day, there was an individual who was in a situation, and I think his family came forward and said, supportive housing is not the answer for everybody. And so I think we're going to hope that however these properties are managed, that there's going to be a change. So I hope for that. On the note of the process of this, we're lucky that we have the Planning Advisory Committee, so this will be sent to the public, which is what the vote is on tonight, to send it to public participation, and we'll hear from the public at that point. And then it'll still go back to the Planning Advisory Committee, and at that point, that group of people can decide what the recommendation is going to be to council. If they want to come back with a different recommendation, I mean, that's in their hands at that point. So we're just voting tonight to send it to the public, and then it'll go back to the Planning Advisory Committee. So is there anything else anybody wants clarification on before we open the vote? Okay, so we'll open the vote now. Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. And the motion is carried. Thank you. We now move on to council reports. They're all in the package, except Councillor Baker, did you have a late?
No submission.
Okay. You didn't have a report, or you didn't?
My apologies.
Okay. But do you have one now you could send us later, like just to give us an update of what's your month, and then if they have any questions, they'll reach out. I'll just highlight some things for the month, if it's any benefit. And this is kind of regarding the downtown issues with public safety and well-being pressures. The call volume of police calls downtown are still in that 28 to 34% volume per month. In the year 2024, the call volume increased quite significantly, and 26% of the calls in 2025 were in relation to unhoused individuals. I think the total was 186 calls. So it's a big demand on housing insecurity and mental health and well-being support. So those are just numbers that you may find helpful. And again, it goes back to what I said a minute ago. We're hoping really that the province recognizes the strain that this puts on the town of Kentville and other towns in the province. Just a little update on King's Transit. They're going to rebrand shortly, so they'll have a whole new logo developed. And they're happy to say that they have 10 functional buses on the road, up from 8. So it's good news. The regional recreation facility, we're moving onwards with that, looking good, and we've got a steering committee in place with our neighboring municipalities. Those are kind of the main highlights, and I just want to recognize the amazing volunteers that were celebrated Saturday night here. Our recreation department put on a great event where we recognize them, and we thank all those individuals because they really do make Kentville a place that we're all very happy to call home. So those are kind of my highlights. I don't have anything else to add, so we will move on now to, yeah, sorry. Oh, you go ahead. Councillor Maxwell.
Yes, our reports are in this package
Yes.
as well. So I just wanted to, address the issue of people, not feeling comfortable downtown, especially in the evening. And I just want to say that we as a council, our hands are pretty well tied when it comes to us making any sort of recommendations to the police, but the body that makes those recommendations is the police commission. And so if public is feeling concerned or unsafe, they should get in contact with their police commissioners, because they're the ones that can direct the discussions with the police. That being said, I'm asking our two representatives here tonight if the police commission has discussed yet anything that concerns citizens' concerns of feeling unsafe downtown. Thank you.
I'll give the floor to our acting chair, Councillor Hamilton.
So pretty much every meeting that we've had for quite a while, we discuss the safety downtown and what our police service is doing. So we're all working on it, and right now we are transitioning. We just lost our board chair, so we're going to be working through that. And we will be, I can give updates as we go along.
That would be great. Yeah. Oh, sure.
I'm just wondering, are there minutes of your meetings?
Yeah, they're all listed on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions for any members based on their reports? I don't see any lights on, so we will move on to public comments, and there's unfortunately nobody here from the public tonight, so we'll skip on now to, we have two items that we must address in a closed session, so I will take a motion to enter a closed session. Deputy Mayor Kroll and Councillor Andrew as a seconder. All those in favor, please. Those opposed? Thank you. It is 5:28, and we will not be returning to this live stream after. Thank you.